the new body. O Mother Kali, this time I will eat you up. I will make a fine dish of you and gorge myself upon it. Well, one need not get disturbed or annoyed or disgusted at these uncivilized words. What else is the holy ceremony of the civilized Christians wherein they eat of the flesh of Christ and drink of his blood? Ram Prasad, at least like a decent human being, proposes to cook and then eat the flesh of his mother. He does not mean to eat raw flesh. However, cannibalism is a very hoary institution. It is as old as the jungle man. But even the jungle man who indulged in it used to do it in a ceremonial way. I mean, this instinct, or this aberration, if you like, has a mysterious footing in human nature. It is perhaps a biological atavism, the anthropologist might say, but I take it as symbolic of a deeper urge, indeed a nobler aspiration, how we shall presently see. This primitive gesture, even as a physical act, is or at least was prevalent among certain esoteric religious societies. Human sacrifice was a very solemn item in some tantric ceremony. What then is the sense, the meaning of this value, so much value being attached to the vile body even in religious practices? Evidently, this secret has been given out precisely in the Christian ritual of transubstantiation. It is the mystery of transforming or transmuting the base metal into the noble metal, gold, the mystic of the alchemy with which the ancients were so much preoccupied in their consciousness and pursuit. The body surely has something to say in the terrestrial existence of creatures, for not in vain did the Lord come down to inhabit it. The spirit has consented to clothe itself with matter, not for the mere fun of it. The divine must have had some intention, some use for it, not simply to keep it going for some time in order to do away with it. As I said, since the spirit, the divine, is immortality, the purpose of material creation must be to make this part of himself also like himself, that is to say, immortal, to make the body too as perfect on earth as the spirit is in heaven. First of all, with regard to the goal and the aim, there have been schools which did not subscribe to the ideal of utter rejection and elimination of the world and world consciousness, and therefore to any discipline or realization of an extracorporeal existence. They posited the truth of a spiritualized body, not merely of a spiritual consciousness. Naturally, the question now would be what this spiritual or spiritualized matter would be like. The body as it is vile indeed. We may remember in this connection the famous description given by the Sanskrit poet Bhartrihari. Her breasts are mere lumps of flesh, her mouth a container of spittle and flame. Other items are untranslatable, although even this passes in Sanskrit. For Sanskrit, being a noble language by nature, tends to ennoble even vile things. Sri Aurobindo speaks of the way in which even the hunchback of Manthara seemed ennobled in the words of Valmiki. But Bhartrihari's intention was to bring disgust home to the ascetic aspiration. The body as it is vile indeed. Even though it is not rejected in toto, it has to be changed radically. It is to be changed, sublimated, transmuted into its subtle form. Plato spoke of a form reality that is behind each physical and material form. The gross material form that we see and touch is only matter filling in the form that is there eternally. A sculptor, for example, when he has a block of stone before him, sees a form embedded as it were in the stone. And what he does is to let his chisel cut out the stone, following the line of the form that he sees already there in it. Modern artists too seem to say and do something in the same line. They seek to create the fundamental forms, the basic lines that scaffold the gross substance body, a kind of pure form, the material content being abstracted or exhausted out of it. Thus, the purification or sublimation of this body would be a kind of dematerialization. That is to say, the substance part of the body is pumped out of it, leaving only the vibration of consciousness, at the most life consciousness. The Chinmaya Deha of the Vaishnavas, or the glorious body of the Christians, means something of this nature. In the Indian tradition, the immortal or everlasting body of Narada, Ashwatthama and Hanuman, the Chiranjeevi Trinity, are perhaps examples of this mode of transubstantiation. Mortals cannot see them or the senses perceive. They can be seen and perceived only through the subtler senses, through the consciousness of another level of existence. Such a suprasensual body becomes naturally immortal, everlasting, free from decay and death. But there is another alternative which indeed seems to be the real consummation of the world evolution and the supreme fulfillment of man as an earthly embodied being. And that is not to dematerialize matter, but to rematerialize matter, materialize in a new mode. Matter in this line will not be sublimated, subtilized into the ethereal form and substance, but recreated in its true substance with the dross and impurity, the legacy of ignorance and unconsciousness purged out of it. Something of the kind nature in its ignorant functioning has effectuated in the phenomenon of fossilization. The material object remains the same, exact in its form, only the substance is changed. A tree, an animal, for instance, maintains the same outward structure, but instead of being built in organic matter, it is now made of inorganic matter. the latter replacing, ejecting or swallowing up the former. This is a type of transubstantiation, although in a reverse way, for here the object is remolded not in a higher but in a lower mode. What is aimed at is a spiritual transubstantiation, that is to say, replacing the mortal material substance by a spiritual immortal substance. What then is this spiritual substance? It is not the mere consciousness of the spiritual being, for there are gradations in this spiritual consciousness, its becomings in many modes. The same spiritual consciousness or spirit consciousness is expressed, formulated in the spirit mind. It is further expressed and concretized in the spirit vital, and finally the same is materialized in the spirit body. This descent or devolution of the spirit happens in its own line of light and truth, not in the other line of ignorance, which follows a greater and yet greater darkening and obscuration. All existence is a mode of vibration. The varieties of existence depend upon the modes or types of vibrations. But this vibration has, as indicated, two broad lines of development. One along the line of the original purity of the spirit, we may say the straight or the chord line. The other along the line of separation and gradual eclipsing of the original truth, the loop line. Thus we say the pure line of vibration in a certain mode produces the pure mind, another type produces the pure life, and yet another the pure matter. You may call this pure matter new matter. Matter as it is presented in the unconscious creation is not the sole form of matter. Matter can be formed, perhaps is being formed, by a special type of concentrated consciousness. The special mode of consciousness that produces the pure or new or spirit matter is the supermind of Sri Aurobindo. The supermind produces not the mere inconscious dark material matter, but a luminous radiant matter full of the luminosity of the pure consciousness, not a dark precipitate of inconscience, but a shining, transparent crystallization of consciousness. Modern science speaks not only of matter, but also of a new type of matter, an antimatter. We make bold to speak of a third type and name it supramatter. Even though all the attributes, even some fundamental ones, normally given to matter as known to us, may not be applicable to either of the two categories mentioned. A particle of dust is matter. A particle of light is also matter. A point of space with an electric charge or no charge, a point of mere tension in space is also matter. A molecule of lead is matter, so also a molecule of gold. These are all, however, material transformations of matter, transformations in degree. There are other transformations which lead not merely to a different degree, but to a different kind. Organic matter, the matter in the living cell, is not only a change in degree, but in kind also. This is because a new principle, a new element has been brought in. Matter has been impregnated with life. Matter, imbued or instinct with life, builds itself differently, behaves differently from pure matter. Instead of mechanistic behavior, it has acquired a living or biological behavior. And again, once more, another kind of matter is developed or evolved when mind penetrates matter, infuses into it a new constitution or disposition and a new mode of behavior. The result is the brain cell. To study the peculiarities of the mentalized organic cell has been a very interesting line of research for modern scientists. The phenomenon, however, does not end here, for matter infused with a still higher mode of existence beyond mind and mentality is also a subject of modern studies. It is parapsychology. It is suggested that not merely the brain cells are open to a further insemination and transmutation, but even the cells of the body, the genetic as well as the somatic cells, can undergo a real sea change under new conditions of existence, a new consciousness and a new mode of living. Matter, under the aegis of ignorance, is indeed subject to age and decay and death, for it is mostly made of a dark and obscure substance, but that is not its inevitable destiny. It may very well change into, it is actually moving towards something which is apparently quite its opposite. Yet, it will be the same matter, although in a different mode. Instead of mortal matter, we are to have an immortal or immortalized matter. That is to say, spiritualized matter or spirit matter. The two that have been till now contraries and contradictories are not only harmonized but fused into the self-same substance. The supramatter or the new matter that will build up the new body will naturally partake of the character and nature of the spirit. Instead of the general properties usually ascribed to matter, inertia, opacity, density, dullness, gradual ebb of substance and energy, that is disintegration, the new matter will acquire new qualities of the opposite kind, spiritual qualities. Indeed, the qualities attributed to the spirit, Atman, by the ancient seers will be the very qualities of the new body, luminous and faultless and stainless, ageless and deathless. Tat shukram abranam apavaviddham ajaram amaram. The material body will be imbued with luminosity, plasticity, mobility, tensibility, lightness, and added to these, a floral loveliness. Such is the transubstantiation, the divinization of the body that may be envisaged lying behind the symbolic gesture of Ram Prasad and the Christian ritual of the Eucharist, the interchange and fusion of the divine material substance and the human material substance.